Alright guys, I'm going to try to record this and I'll post it on your Canvas just in case if you want to go back and look at your lesson. Alright, so this is it. This is what you have in front of you. I hope everyone has seen, right? Do you see it okay? Is that big enough? Or let me see. Hold on, let me make it a little bit bigger. Alright, at any time, if you cannot see my screen, you have it in front of you. Alright, so try to follow along with what I'm doing. Okay, so we're going to expand what we have here. It says a to the second and a to the third. So instead of writing it as a power, we're going to expand this out. What I mean by expansion is that a to the second means you have a times a. All right, I like to use a dot for times or parentheses. And second part, it says a to the third, so we have a times a times a. All right, I don't expect you to do this at all times. Okay, this is a little bit tedious, but you can see that it's easily seeing that a. How many a's do we have in total? 5. So this is a to the 5th power, and that will be your answer. If you feel comfortable with expanding, which is fine, okay, you can expand at any time. But if you have a very big exponent, let's say a to the 100th power, I don't expect everyone to write 100 a's, right? That would be too many to write. So there should be a shortcut to this, right? So what would be the shortcut? So that we call it a rule. Okay, so shortcut is kind of using the rule. So what would be the rule for these two exponents? Do you see it? We have a to the second, and then a to the third. What do you think we're going to do to these two exponents? What do you think we do to those? Yeah.
Add them together.
You add them together. So what's the shortcut and what's the rule? Do you see that underlined part? We add the exponents. All right, so go ahead and write that. So sometimes I don't like to write a and a, so you'll notice that a lot of the time they'll just put a and then 2 plus 3 on the top. Make sure you write it neatly. Make sure you distinguish between your base and your exponent, your powers. Your powers will go to the top with a smaller, like, written font. Do you see that? Base is usually bigger in size. Okay, exponents should be a little bit smaller. Because if you write it next to each other like this, a and 2 plus 3, we don't know which one is base and exponent. Do you see it? So make sure you write it neatly. All right, so we're going to move on to the next line. All right, so our second example. You guys can see it okay? All right, so you can tell that right here you have, I'm going to expand this out again. Do you see it? So this is x times x. And then I'm going to expand this. If you don't have a power, it is same thing as y to what power? Anybody know? How many y's? Yes. 1. So it's invisible, but it's good to write 1 as power. So this is y times, and then next you can see that this is x squared, so this is x and x. You can expand it out again, and then we have y to the third, which is y, y, and y. So you want to start alphabetical order, like you want to see all the x's. How many x's do you see now when you expand it? How many x's do you have in total? Anybody? How many x's do you have in total?
4.
4. So this is x to the 4th. And how many y's do you see in total?
4.
4, so y to the 4th. So this will be your answer. Again, we didn't use any shortcut. We expanded everything and we just counted them out, which is fine. Okay, you can do that. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you use a shortcut, do you see this? We have x and x squared. So this is x squared plus 2, because you have 2 and 2. Y, we have y 1 plus 3. Do you see it? So you have 1 here and then 3 there. So you just need to add those numbers on the top in each variable. So that will be your shortcut. So you can do some mental math just by looking at your expression. All right, so you can tell that x to the power of 2 plus 2 will give you x to the 4th and y to the 4th. All right, and that'll be it. And this will be your answer, which is the same thing. All right, so we're going to move on to the next one. Next one, I'm going to try not to expand, okay? I'm going to try to use some shortcut. So, okay, are you guys ready? All right, here we go. Just pay attention. I'll give you time to copy this. So first, you want to start with numerical value. Do you see this numerical value and numerical value? All right, so what is it if you multiply 3 times negative 2? That's just multiplying. So what's 3 times negative 2?
Negative 6.
Negative 6. All right, so I'm going to try to use some mental math. I see r squared. You see the r squared? And I see r to the 3rd. So if you have r squared and r to the 3rd without expanding, how many r's do you have? Anybody know?
5.
5. That's it. You just add those two, right? R squared plus 3, which gives you 5. Okay, that's it. And then now we have a t. Do you have any other t? Try to write t with the little hook underneath so that it doesn't look like a plus. All right, so do you see any other t's? All right, so how many t's do you have in total then? Anybody?
2.
2, just 2. All right, so there it is. Now, I didn't expand anything. I just used my mental math to try to figure out how many we have in each part, and we add it together, which is fine. All right, if you know how to use the shortcut, go ahead and use the shortcut. If you want to expand this out because you want to see it, go ahead and expand it out. All right. All right, we're going to go on to the next part.
Sorry, I didn't put that in, but I'll find it in the test.
Okay. Okay, we're going to move on to number 2 now. Hold on a second. Can you guys see it okay? All right, so this one, remember we talked about parentheses? If you have a squared within the parentheses to the 3rd power, what does it mean by having that parenthesis as a 3rd power? You have a total of 3 of them. So we have a to the 2nd, a to the 2nd within the parentheses. But what does it mean by a to the 2nd? Isn't that a, and this is a, and this is a, and so on. This is how you expand if you want to. All right? That's how you break this down. So after you break everything down, how many a's do you see?
6.
6. So this is a to the 6th power. All right, again, there should be a shortcut to this before we add it. So how do we get to there? Now we had a to the 2nd to the 3rd power. What do we think we need to do with these two numbers to get a to the 6th power? What do you think? Anybody have an idea what we need to do with those exponent in order to get a to the 6th? Multiply them. Very good. You multiply them. So this is a to the power of 6 by multiplying. So what is a rule? What is a shortcut? The rule, the shortcut is you multiply the exponents. All right, so you want to have these examples in front of you just in case if you forget, you happen to forget during the quiz or exam. All right, you can write other examples on here if you like. Okay, so here we go.
Yeah,
Same thing with this. If you want to expand this is x squared y to the third, and then you have two of those, right? And parentheses x squared y to the third. And then this means you have x and x, y. This is x and x, y, because you have three y's. So let's count them out. How many x's do you see in total? 4, so x to the fourth power. And how many y's do you see in total? 6, so this is y to the 6. Again, there should be a shortcut. This is your answer. So remember, we started with x to the second, y to the third, to the power of 2. So how do we go from here to x to the fourth and y to the 6th? What do you think we're going to do with this 2? Multiply to each one. Do you see it? We need to multiply to each one. So if you multiply to each one, isn't that x to the fourth power? And this is y to the 6th power? And isn't that our answer? Alright, again, so how many of you guys like the shortcut? Raise your hand. Okay, how many of you guys feel comfortable with expanding, just seeing it out, like expanding it out? Okay, more people. Alright, I can see that. I think it's easier to see with the expansion. Alright, so if you feel comfortable with that, go with that route. It's okay. Alright, so I'm going to give you a few seconds to kind of organize this. Go ahead and try to finish this up. Okay, stay with me, guys, okay? Make sure you write everything down.
Remember the assignment, the review one?
Or,
Yeah, I'm asking you what to do.
oh yeah, you can do it if you want. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
It's tedious.
Yeah, I know. Alright, so we're gonna go down to number 3. Anybody need more time with number 2? Anybody need more time? No? We're good? Alright, we're gonna move on. Alright, so this is number 3. Alright, so these are one of the harder questions. This is where you need to really concentrate on which ones are being canceled. I like to write the fraction bar quite long like this, and then expand out what we have. So in this case, we have x to the fourth, which means x, x, and x, and x. We have y to the third, which is y, and y. We have x to the second, is x, and x, and then y. You don't have to line them up, but I just want to line them up so that you can see which ones I'm canceling. So I expended all the x's on the top, y's, and x's on the bottom. You see how they're matching like this? So whenever they're matching, you can cancel them. So I'd like to redraw the fraction bar again. How many x's do you have on the top now? How many x's are left over on the top after you cancel them? How many? 2. So this is x to the second power. And how many y's do you have on the top after you cancel them? 2. So y to the second. Do you have any x or y at the bottom? No. But you don't have nothing. You actually have 1, but usually we don't put 1. And when you put your final answer, we put it as x squared y to the second. This will be your final answer. Alright, this is expanding. Alright, if you happen to write everything out again. Alright, so again, there should be a shortcut to this. Right? There should be a shortcut. So let's take a look at our shortcut. So we started with x to the fourth and x to the second. You see how the x's are matching up? What do you think we're going to do with those two numbers there in order to get x to the second?
Subtract.
We can divide or subtract, right? What about, let's see if it is division or subtraction. What if you get y to the third over y to the first? Okay, so for you to get from y to the third, y to the first to be y to the second, what are you doing to those two numbers? Are we dividing or are we subtracting? We're subtracting. So For this rule, the shortcut is you subtract the exponent. Okay, we're going to subtract the exponent. Alright, let's see. Alright, I want you to ignore 8 and 6 for now. Alright, I want you to pay attention to x to the third, x to the second, and then y to the third, y to the first, and 8 over 6. I want you to kind of ignore this for now. Okay, so what happens? Can we use a shortcut with this? What happens to those two exponents? What are we going to do again? Subtract. So what is it if you subtract 3 minus 2? 1. So this is x to the first power. Alright, do you see this? Again, what do you do with your exponents? Subtract. So this is y to the power of 2. Isn't it 2? 3 minus 1, 2. Alright, we just need to reduce 8 over 6. Do you guys remember how to reduce fractions? 8 over 6? What goes into 8 and 6? What number goes into both of them? Anybody have an idea?
2.
2. So you divide each one by 2. So what is 8 divided by 2?
4.
4 over
3.
3. Very good. So this is it. So let me clean this up. This is 4x y to the second all over 3. So this is how it looks when you clean it up. All right? Sorry about that. All right, I'm going to give you time to finish up with those two examples. And after that, we're going to work on the worksheet, your homework assignment. Mr. Duncan, thank you. Okay, question? Sure. Okay. Can you wait a little bit though, or? Okay, so make
Did you
it
print
quick,
this
okay?
one, or did you take somebody else's?
Which one?
These review twos?
No. I guess we have a whole bunch, that's all.
So you printed those?
Yeah.
You didn't take them out of the room?
No, I did take them out.
And those were yours, you
Yeah.
think? I thought maybe somebody else printed them.
Oh, no.
Like, okay.
Okay, young man, go ahead. Go use the restroom really quick, okay? Make it quick. There's a patch right here. Grab it and make it quick, please, okay?